Hey ballers! Today I have Paul Lamnatos, the founder of Blink Lending, on the show. Paul will share his unique journey and the challenges he faced during his transitions from a loan officer to a hard money lender. We'll dive deep into Paul's mindset, explore the strategies and insight that propel him to success in the real estate industry. Hey Paul, let's start with this today. Tell us a little bit of your life before Blink.
Life before Blink. Okay, well that Blink started 5 years ago in March of 2018. The day we opened our doors as a lending company is the same day my twin daughters were born. So prior to Blink opening up, well, for the 9 months before then, it was all about babies and babies and babies. Prior to that, 15 years, I had been in the mortgage industry. So I started back in 2003. Fast forward to 2018, I'm now married. My wife is pregnant. She gives birth to our twin girls. And I started Blink Lending. So before then, fatherhood, marriage, and a whole bunch of mortgage loans.
You know, you have a very unusual transitions, and I don't mean it in a negative way, because, you know, most people we talk to in our industry come from like, hey, I bought a bunch of property, I flip a bunch of houses, and now I want to go loan people money to do so. But you come from a more, being a mortgage banker, right? You a little bit, I would say, most of them, not stereotyping, have different type of personality. They look at things a little bit differently. So what caused you to make that transition to go from that to now being a business owner?
Yeah, so it all started back in 2003, and really before then, my grandfather on both sides of the family, but really on my mom's side of the family was a real estate investor, and he was a business owner and bought properties here there. He always owned the building that his business was in, so it was always a conversation that was around the dining room table. And then my mom got into secondary financing in the mortgage industry. In 2003, I'm bartending. I'm going to college at the time, and my mom kept telling me, "Hey, you might want to look into being a loan officer. These guys and gals make some good money. You may want to look into it." Well, I kind of just brushed her off, and then eventually got to the point to where, hey, let's listen to mom. And really what it was is I was surrounded by some people that kept saying, "I wish I would have listened to my parents more." So that always stuck with me. And thank God I did listen to
them. We got to make sure mom listens to this show.
He gets all the credit, that's for sure. So I listened, and thank God I did. In 2003, I get my first job. I'm working in the Galleria. I get to wear a shirt, a tie. I've got a little corner cubicle. I'm overlooking 610 freeway. I make $4,000 a month. I make 5,000. Then I might have made 6 or 7, and back to 4. And well, I just thought I was making just hand over fist money, and I was going to be rich. I'm calling all my college buddies saying, "You should drop out of college and come and become a loan officer." Good for them that they didn't. But along the way, 2008 happened. And in 2008, those same college buddies that I called and said, "Hey, you should drop out of college," they're like, "Hey, Paul, how's that working out for you now?" And I was scared. I was a 28-year-old scared kid. Every newspaper that I read or every news channel I put on had the world coming to financial doom. I actually, I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. Was I going to continue? Was I going to become a grocery store manager? Was I going to get into a different industry altogether? And actually what I did is I packed up my bags and I moved to Greece. My dad's side of the family is Greek, and we have a hotel on Santorini Island. It's an 18-room villa. And my plan was, look, I'm just going to go out to Greece. I'm going to marry a Greek girl. I'm going to have Greek babies. I'm going to run the family hotel. Maybe I buy another one, and that's just my life. Well, after being there a few weeks, it just wasn't that. It wasn't me. I looked at the winters and I said, I want to fish one day, but I don't want to start fishing in my 20s and just give up that easy. So my dad saw me moping around, and he goes, "Hey, why are you moping?" And I told him, I said, "Well, Dad, look, it's the world's coming to an end. I dropped out of college. I don't know what I'm going to do with the rest of my life." And he said, "Hey, kid, people are always going to want to borrow money. They're always going to need to borrow money. It's just, are they going to borrow it from you, or are they going to borrow it from somebody else?" And that really struck a chord in me. And I said, I don't have a business problem. I have a marketing problem. I don't know how to get clients. And until I was able to hone that skill, I got jobs working for others to where I could both earn a good income and also learn my craft at the same time. I come from a family of my grandparents own their own businesses. My parents own their own businesses. A few of my uncles own their own businesses. So it's always been a conversation around it. I knew at some point I'd want to be a business owner, and here we are. So in 2008, something else happened at the same time that was happening, because I came back to the States after a few weeks in Greece. I enjoyed a nice vacation and came back ready to knuckle down. And I met a client of mine by the name of Rick No. And Rick called and said, "Hey, Paul, do you do investment properties?" And I said, "Yeah, of course." And at the time, I'd never done an investment property before. But in sales, what do? You say yes, and then you figure it out, right? So I said yes, and I figured it out. And then a month later, he calls me and says, "Hey, I have another one." And boom, this light bulb went off. And I said, "Wait a minute. Instead of working with the consumer out there that's buying a house every 4, 5, 6 years, I can work with a real estate investor that's going to do 4, 5, 6 houses in 1 year. And then I can work with a few of them." And it was much easier. And I liked the conversation more. It got me excited. So I still work with homeowners, and the good part, 50% plus of our business is a first-time home buyer, is a step-up home buyer, someone refinancing. The other is working with real estate investors. And the question that you asked me is, how does a guy go from being a traditional loan officer to, starting the business and then getting within the real estate investing? And what it was is I was answering clients' phone calls, and I'm seeing them buying houses, and I'm seeing them flip, and I'm seeing them get rental properties, and I'm going, I want some of that too. And so over time, I started dabbling a little bit investing, and I'm still at I like to say the toddler stage of where one day we'll be with it. But opening the Blink Lending was really for the same reasons that real estate investors get into real estate investing. I wanted to own more of my time. I wanted to be more in charge, more in control. And ultimately, I wanted to spend time with my daughters. And that is the reason why. It was, I looked at how life was going to be. I said, hey, I don't want someone telling me I can't take my kids to jiu-jitsu practice, or I have to be at the office at a certain time. And that works for some. I knew that it wasn't the path that I wanted for me and my family, and here we are. So that was a long-winded answer.
Well, I haven't been to Santorini, but every pictures I've seen is beautiful. So for you to leave Santorini and come to Houston to do business, I mean, you got to be successful, right? You can't just leave all that beautiful things for nothing.
That's very true. And then now we get to go back. So we're going back here in a month or so. Dad still has the place, and we still get to enjoy it.
Yeah, so I think I agree with you that loaning to investors, like it seems like you can probably make several loans to the same investor, in a year or in a few years period. But with a homeowner, most of them may buy a house once every 10, 15 years or so, and they probably go to a different loan officer then at that point, when they're ready to buy a second home, right? However, with that said, there's also certain risk associated with lending to investors. How did you overcome those risks or minimize those risks?
What you're asking is private lending, right? I do private lending as well.
Yes.
And for the traditional model, isn't that a loan officer banker that does traditional loans ends up becoming a private lender and owning their own private lending company? Well, along the way of working with the real estate investors, I wanted to do some fix and flips as well. And I looked at the numbers and I said, well, my skill set's just not there. If I do, one fix and flip, maybe I make $50,000. But if I can do 10 loans, I can also make $50,000. Where's my skill set better? So it risky, yeah. When you're backing, millions of dollars of loans, and if they go wrong, it's you that has to answer for that. There is a lot of risk with that. My comfort level in that risk pool is so high and so comfortable compared to what my clients do in fixing and flipping properties and rehabs. Like I would be I'd be the worst fix and flipper. I'd be the best fix and flopper there's ever been. Like every property, I would overdo it. I would be in design phase for months and years and years. I mean, you're talking to someone that in 5 years of business has redesigned their website 6 times, right? By the way, you should go to it, blinklending.com. The current version is amazing. So part 1V of the answer is I'm comfortable with the risk. Now, and I think that's very important is one, you have to be comfortable with the risk. And then 2, the risk has to be very calculated, strategic, and well thought out. And in my case, I get to lean on, day 1 of getting in the lending industry and being a loan officer. See, that 5 years that I had from 2003 to 2008 of not working with real estate investors and working with traditional guidelines and subprime guidelines gave me a huge leg up on the others that are in private lending and the others that don't have that traditional background, because I feel the advantage I feel I have is I'm so ingrained with the traditional guidelines of how Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, FHA protect themselves, that we lay those guidelines on top of our private and hard money guidelines so that we're really floating in line with them while offering the ease and the flexibility that they don't, especially on properties that are ugly, as you know. So it comes to being comfortable and then having your guidelines, your buoys in place, right? I'm not going to swim outside of these buoys, because once I get outside of those buoys, the water starts getting deeper, it starts being wavier, and it's more dangerous. So I stay close to the shore, I stay with what I know, and I'm very comfortable with the risks that we take.
Being a loan officer, I'm going back to that again. I can make the assumption that there's abundance amount of money, right? Because you got Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, a lot of funds available as long as your borrower meet their requirement. Now going to loaning to investor, buying properties that nobody wants to loan on, and obviously some of these investors don't have the best of credit, right? How do you overcome that challenge? I'm sorry for this interruption. I've been asked a lot about passive investment. And let's be real, there is nothing passive about being a landlord unless you have a really good property management company. So if you own an Airbnb or a short-term rental and you want to get back your time, please give our team at Buzz Vacation Rental a call at 281-549-8432 or go to our website at pm.buzzvacationrentals.com. Now back to the Real Estate Ballers show.
It's all in your clients, right? In any business, it's marketing, and then it's the clients that you have. And it really starts there. We don't refer to them with the other C word, the customer word. It's client, and there's a distinction there. And we go after a certain client. We love clients that have high credit scores. We love those that have good assets in their bank accounts, those that have good income. And V, as you know, there's a lot of people that have all 3 of those things that invest in real estate. So it's my job as a lender to always mitigate my risk, right? If I'm going to put my name behind a loan, I better make sure that I'm doing everything possible to limit those risks all down to, as close to 0 as I can. And the best way to do that as a private lender is to, look at credit, look at income, and look at assets. And our credit score at its core is our numerical representation of our ability to do what we said we're going to do. So as a lender, I want to lend to people that do what they say they're going to do, and there's a lot of them out there. With the income, I look at that not so much for me, but for me and for the client. And what the heck do I mean by what I just said right there? The income that an investor receives determines the exit loan, the long-term loan that they can get. And I work with tons of investors that just fix and flip. But every now and then, as you know, the market shifts. Every now and then a property that you want to flip right away, it's better for you to keep. Maybe your rehab's gone a little longer. You're at 9 months, so it makes sense for you to keep it for another 3 months to limit your capital gains exposure, right? There's many reasons why things change. And I'm a huge fan. A client of mine once said, Paul, I reserve the right to be smarter tomorrow than I am today based on my circumstances changing. And in the market, when we buy a property in March, Well, when we still have it in August, we could be in a completely different market. So the income part to me, it's, hey, B, let's pretend you did a fix and flip, right? You want to flip it, but now you want to keep it as a refi. I know based on your income which loan's better for you. And I'm a huge fan of knowing in advance. So even if you tell me, Paul, I'm flipping it, okay, no problem. B, just in case, here's your loan option. Because we need to have a backup plan for our backup plan, right? And then lastly is assets. The number one thing that I look for is assets. And if the client that I'm lending to doesn't have the assets that we're looking for, well, then we're going to coach them and we're going to help them on how to get it. Because, we all have one of these in our pockets, a phone, and I'm a firm believer that everything any one of us need in business, we have right now in our phone. Like right now, there isn't I need to meet this next person, or I need to do this, or I need to do that. No, you need to just get very clear with the context that you have and start working those. So I always tell clients, if they call and they don't meet the asset requirement, it's like, look, who do we know that wants to get involved in investing in real estate? Because I promise, can't even make this up. I got an email today. I have good credit. I have good money. I want to get started in real estate. How do I? Do you know how many people there are like that out there? So this whole idea of, well, I don't have the money. Look, just get the deal. Any credit, income, assets, if you lack in one of those, find a deal. And I promise you, V will not disagree with this. You will find a way to get it funded. Money is like the easiest part in all of this. When you really figure it out, right? It's money and getting financing's the easiest part of it. So now, V, the other question that you might be asking is, well, Paul, how the heck do you get these clients that have high credit scores, good income, and good assets? Well, you can't nickel and dime them with a bunch of junk fees. You see, people that all people, no matter what their credit, their income, or their assets are, they want good deals and they don't want to be taken advantage of. And I've been to these conferences with my competitors and, the ones in other states. I don't have any competitors here in Texas. They're just outside of the state, of course. We go to these conferences and there's always this guy that likes to get on stage and say, you can charge your clients all this money and you can charge your borrowers all this money. And it's all these nickel and dime fees that leave a bad taste in their mouths. So we don't do that. You pay points at closing. You pay an underwriting cost, and then that's it. Just interest on your money. No draw fees, no inspection fees, no interest on undrawn, and tons of other stuff. And the reason I answer that, if you have a narrow client that you're going after, I think you also, it's what do you want, but also what are you willing to give up for that? So they both go hand in hand together.
It's funny that you said that. I'm sidetracking a little bit here. It's funny when we go to all these national conferences and trade shows, you have all these national lenders that have really good terms on the flyers. And then when you start talking to them and it's like, oh, wait a minute, we need this. And then we need that. And then we got this fee. And one beautiful thing that we got here in Houston is that our market is so mature that, we have a lot of lenders. They are friendly and at the same time, they're competitive in rates and terms, and which make it better for investors. Back to us. Question for you. If you were to start over today, and let's just say you accumulated some cash, a few $100,000, which one would you become? A flipper, a landlord, a lender? What would you become? Hey, if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below.
Yes. I do. Starting over, you do it all. I love the newbies. I love the rookies. And for anybody that's getting started in real estate investing, you have this huge advantage to you. And there's really no screwing it up as long as you don't lose money. Like that's a big part.
Oh, that's the key. Don't lose money.
That's the key, right? And take real estate out of that and enter owning an ice cream shop or any business, right? You don't want to go negative. But with real estate, there's really the first while you can't go wrong, because in doing a fix and flip, you're going to learn things that you didn't know. In doing a buy and hold, you're going to learn things that you didn't know. In buying a note, you're going to learn things that you didn't know. So if I have $200,000 today, I'm starting all over and I'm given A, B, and C. Fix and flip houses, buy and hold, or be a note buyer. I'm answering D, which is all of the above. And I would probably call and find a private lender here in town or in a city where you are, so you can go into their office and meet with them. I'd try to buy the smallest note amount possible. They're likely going to tell you it's $50,000. I'm here to tell you they'll probably take 25 from you. If they won't, call us, we'll do it. Now, in doing that, you want to go through the paperwork and you want to get familiar with the process and just start throwing darts at the wall. And experience is connecting those dots, right? So we want to start just throwing darts at the wall and start getting comfortable with the verbiage. I was once told by an old mentor of mine, if they want to get good at any game, they're going to figure out the rules of the game, and they're going to figure out the lingo of the game. Like, what are the rules of the game, and then how do you talk the game? And looking at documents and going to YouTube University, you're getting the lingo and you're learning the rules of the game. Now with fixing and flipping, here's the good news. You don't have to make up your mind there. The property's going to make up its mind for you. When you find that house that you're going to buy, it's going to be pretty clear whether it's good to fix and flip or whether it's clear to buy and hold. And a little secret that's really frustrating is the best deals you can do both with. So the best deals, you can flip it or you can keep it. So now it comes to, what do you want to do? And in real estate, it's really that. It's what works for you. I have investors that do fix and flips that make $30,000 and they're jumping high and happier than a pig in mud. And then I have investors that they wouldn't touch it unless it's $70,000. There's no right, there's no wrong. I have real clients that all they do is fix and flip. They would never buy a property on retail. And then I have clients that are engineers that they only buy properties putting down 20 and 30%. The point here is it's whatever fits for you works for you. But each property is going to ultimately tell you what the better part of it is. But I do it all. Get in and do all of it and then find out what works best for you. In your city, I don't recommend doing a fix and flip, halfway across the country. That's just silly. I poke fun at my clients. They go, well, Paul, I have a deal in Ohio. I'm like, forget Texas, as if Harris County is not big enough for you to keep you busy for the rest of your life. You need to go to Ohio of all places. But anyhow, that's again to my point, right? It's whatever works for us.
It's whatever you're comfortable with, right? Back to that point that you have earlier. Some people might be comfortable with that risk of investing out of state. And like you and I probably on the same wavelength where we got to see, touch, and feel, what we're investing in. And
it has to be pretty too. These cash cow houses that just make all this money, cash flow, but they're in some way off. I'm like, like our good friend Eddie Gant, right? He loves those houses. I'm like, Eddie, like, why? And he goes, Paul, do you know how successful, how great these properties are?
Being in the lending business now, and you said 50% of your business is loaning to owner occupant and 50% to investor.
Yeah, we do a good mix of both. And I often joke, it's my fix and flip business and my buy and hold business. I've got one that it's like having a Pizza Hut store. You also want to have the soda when you walk in that you can get or the other items. So I found out why not do both. And we focused on both intentionally to keep both healthy at all times. Because when we have a dip in the market with one, the other seems to do well and vice versa with it.
So are you making adjustment in today's market, given what's going on out there? Like, what we're facing today is completely new and different, unprecedented.
Yeah, I might get in trouble for this, but no, I'm really not. Now, I have to explain that a little better. Our guidelines have been protected since day one. And having the background of traditional lending and having 50% of our business in the owner-occupied space and doing the traditional loans has us have a great pulse on the lending industry as a whole. And then to be intact with the lending industry, it trickles down in so many other ways, and we get the reports daily that come in. So as we see the long-term loans lending space adjust, we adjust. But the long-term lending space hasn't really adjusted. The debt to income guidelines are still the same. The loan to value guidelines are still the same. So our credit scores, we've kept them the same. And we lend to people that have close to 800 credit scores, and I've lent to people that have credit scores in the 400s. I love saying 99% of what I do is common sense, 1% is real estate, but we do use credit scores as a driving factor. In the cases where I've lent to people that have low credit scores, the loan to values have been really low, 50% or less. It makes you offset the risk with it. So, and then Skin of the game has always been important to us since day one. We're more of a skin of the game lender than we are based on after repair only lender. Once we get to about 3-4 transactions with our clients and the deals are at 70-ish%, then we're okay lending 100% to them. But for those first 2, 3, 4 transactions, we want to see about 10%, 15% skin in the game. And found that when you have people and clients put up their hard-earned cash, well, the deals just seem to go better. And I didn't make that up. This isn't a me thing. It's me looking at Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and they have down payments for investment properties. And I said, okay, we're a small local independent mortgage lender. We're privately funded with private individuals. We sell all of our notes. We don't have bank lines. We don't work with hedge funds. We don't have lines of credits and all the other corporate funding. So we have to be very meticulous and thought out in the loans that we do. And so far, it's worked out. We've been able to have a decent footprint here in Houston. We close a good amount of loans every month. And, well, I still get to take my kids to school. And today they're doing a little play after school that I'll be early to. So the reason we started 5 years ago, a little over 5 years ago now, we've stayed true to that. And that's going to be from day one. We're never going to be a company that's downtown with big skyscrapers. We'll probably never be more than 12, 15 people. And we're okay. The world will probably never know who we are. But we're going to do business the right way. We're going to be profitable. And we're going to have lots of fun along the way.
I think you just touched on some key point there, that knowing who you are in the market space. I think it's always a good feeling to say, yeah, I'm the highest volume or I'm the biggest guy here. But at the end of the day, none of it really matter, right? What matter is if your bank account is in the positive and, you have a good reputation about your business. To me, that I agree with you on that aspect. And it took me a while to get there. I wasn't always like that.
Oh, No. I'm laughing because it's like it takes all of us a while, right? And there are a few that get it faster. What's the old movie, Chinatown? Jack Nicklaus has a great line. He goes, "Hey, how much better can you eat?" And at the end of the day, how much better can you really eat? Now it's a fine balance. You want to test yourself, right? You don't want to be 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 years old looking at yourself in the mirror and going, you left some of it on the table. But it's you've got to drive with both hands, right? There's got to be love and there's got to be discipline. And if you drive with one more than the other, you end up crashing into the wall. And I tell my wife all the time, I've got plenty of time to work in the future. Right now, I need to be home by 3:00 so I can play with the kids. We got them chickens this weekend, so we have a chicken.
You got to enjoy it while you can.
It's what everybody says. It's if you could do it all over again, what's one thing you do different? And everybody says I'd spend more time with my kids. Everybody says I'd spend more time with my family. So if they're telling you that, and you're asking them, I'm always amazed by the person that asks the question and is like, it's like, what should I do? Well, you should do this. It's like, okay. And then it doesn't follow through with it. Well, if everybody is telling you something and what they're telling you is spend more time with your family, do it. So that's my take. I don't know. I could be right. I could be wrong. And it doesn't matter. It's what I'm choosing.
That and take better care of your health, right?
That is, yes, that is big. Drink more water.
So you are a rising superstar and you seem to have some great things going on. What's next for you?
What's next? So my dad still lives in Greece, as I mentioned. So we're going to take the family out on a summer vacation. So we're all going to go out there. We're going to come back and we're going to keep working hard. Our office right now is on 11th Street here in the Heights, in the Houston Heights. We recently bought a house on Heights Boulevard, a historic house that we're remodeling. So we're going to move our house there. Similar to how I got involved with the real estate investing, I started hanging around with a few builders and a few developers and have several development projects and building projects going on right now that I'm really, really excited about. For those that are here in Houston and for those that invest here in Houston, we have some big changes coming. They're under Chapter 42, if you want to look those up. Some of the changes aren't so good, but wow, are some of them just great. Biggest one for us investors is what they're doing with duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes, and really anything up to an 8 unit. See, right now in Houston, anything that's multi-unit is defined as commercial, and the big challenge for us is meeting the parking requirements on our small infill lots. Well, now that's going to go away. And when that goes away, now we're able to build a duplex, a triplex, a fourplex on smaller lots, which is going to help out really all involved. It helps out the city of Houston with density. It helps out the builder with being able to build more units. And of course, it helps out the homeowner, because now you can buy one unit, you can buy 2 units, live in one, rent out the other unit. And it goes all the way up to 8 units as well. So I started getting involved, which is what real estate investors need to do. You go, I don't know where to start. Start. Well, I don't know where. Oh, but start. Like, just anywhere. Pick up the phone. Google networking events, right? If you've already done that, go to the networking event. If you've already gone to the networking event, go again, and then go again, and then go again. I love, the old Rich Club used to be around, and I don't know if it still is or not, but the old version of it is definitely not. And so the Rich Club, it was standing for Realty Investment Club of Houston. It met the first Saturday of the month, and many of us went there for years and years and years. And you'd always see the person that came 1 week or 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, and then you don't see in month 4. 2 things happened. They either figured it out and they didn't need to come back anymore, or they gave up. I'll let you choose for yourself which one would likely happen most. But I'm surprised by those that just stick to it, how it comes out on the end. And I took that and I started going to the GHBA, the Greater Houston Builders Association. We just started going to the events. Well, next thing you know, we're building houses here, we're building houses there, we're building houses there. And if you catch me at the right time, you might even think I'm one of these guys, because I said you got to know the rules and how to talk. Well, I'm even starting to talk a little like them. So give me a few more months, and Builder Paul, here I come.
Hey, that's amazing. I just learned something from you today. I'm probably going to start going to that Builder Association meeting too. It will help us in the vacation short-term rental space a whole lot.
I'm a huge fan of and GHBA stands for Greater Houston Builders Association. They have a home PAC, a home political action committee, and tons of subgroups within the group. And I joined that, and the people I've met through there, heck, I met the governor of Texas. Like, how cool is that? So you never know where this getting involved, where it leads out. And it's so much fun. And like half the time we end up going to these events now, and we do it because it's so much fun. Like, would you rather go hang out? Well, sometimes you would rather go hang out with the girlfriends or the guys. But most of the time, I'd just rather go hang out with my real estate friends because, well, I have more in common with them than I do with the others.
All right. As we're wrapping up here, what is the one thing that people might be surprised to learn about you?
I play polo. Yeah.
Is that where you wear a skirt? Or am I thinking of the wrong sport here?
No, that's the one where you're on horses and you swing the mallet.
Okay. Okay. Were you any good?
Getting better. Getting better. It's 2 parts. You're on a horse. When I have good horses, I'm better. When the horses aren't good, I'm not as good. It's all to do with the horse. Nothing to do with me, of course.
All right. Well, last question. How does the audience get in touch with you?
So my email address is Paul, Paul, Paul at blinklending.com. It's like blink your eyes and lending money, Paul at blinklending.com. And if you're on social media, you can find me on Instagram at Paul, Paul _ Lamnatos, Lam as in Mary, N as in Nancy, ATOS.
Thank you for hanging with us all the way to the end. If you got some value out of this, please don't forget to give us a thumbs up and share this episode with your friends who might also be benefited from the insight that Paul shared today. And of course, be sure to hit the subscribe button on the Real Estate Ballers for more great content on real estate and other exciting topics. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.